Unfamous. This week we are going to be discussing the latest release from Intimina, the Ziggy Cup 2. Intimina's latest cup for mess-free period sex. If you're new here, my name is Scotty Unfamous and I'm an author and sexfluencer, and it is my mission to teach you guys how to live your best motherfucking whole life, bitch. And if you've been here before, welcome back, bitch. I don't know about you lot, but I used to be like really weird about having period sex. Like I literally only started doing it like a couple of months ago. My period would come and it was like suck dick week. While I love a bit of fellatio, I said enough. I've had enough. Shake my ovaries. I want them to be rocked. Empty my uterus of this foul beast. And then so like I tried it for the first time, and you know what, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But my thing is, I don't like mess. I'm a bit like, oh, hygiene. Even though I was having period sex and, you know, putting down the towel and whatever, like it was fine. But because I'm still so conscious of, oh, there's blood, I'm trying to mend my relationship with that. So I wasn't able to orgasm, but we now have a solution. So in this month's Womb Shed Week diaries, if you guys follow me on Instagram, which you should be, I post a lot more on there. I was testing out these new menstrual discs, like live review, not like going through what I thought. And I guess this video is essentially like my final rundown of what I thought of the Intimina cups. And for those of you that just don't know about the fabulousness that is my Instagram, this is your introduction to my madness. For those of you who are new here, this is how my reviews usually go. So I start off giving you guys the specs of the product, and then I'm going to give you a walkthrough of how the product works. Then I'm going to tell you about my experience, and then we'll give you the final thoughts and then my 5-star review. So menstrual discs have been around for a hot minute, but for those of you who don't know, Intimina was actually the first brand to create the first reusable menstrual disc. This is the original Ziggy Cup here. So for those of you who have used the original Ziggy Cup before, I'm going to give you the comparisons of how they differ to the Ziggy Cup 2. I mean, you can already see like the first one. New shape, who dis? Let's get into the specs. Like the original Ziggy Cup, the Ziggy Cup 2 is made for mess-free period sex. It's made for people with medium to heavier flows. It has a double leak-proof rim. It comes in size A, which is the 50ml cup, and size B, which is the 76ml cup. They have an 8-hour wear time. It comes with a new contoured tab for slip-free removal, a reinforced flexible petal-thin body for easier insertion and better adaptation to the shape of your body, and new eco-friendly packaging made completely from carton. So this was the packaging for the Ziggy Cup, and this is the Ziggy 2 Cup. We love an eco-friendly moment. It's very fashion, darling. Very en vogue. Inside your Ziggy Cup 2 box, there will be a little manual here, and it has a QR code on it, which will take you to the website and you can learn how to use the product that way, or you can watch this fabulous video. And you also get a lovely little pink Intimina storage bag along with your product. Now I'm going to give you guys a quick run through of how to actually use these cups, and then I will go on to my experience. So here we have a standard menstrual cup, and the way that these are inserted are very different to how the flat cups or menstrual discs are inserted. So if you are used to using these, this is going to be a very helpful section for you, and if you haven't used these at all, then you don't need to worry about that. So the best way to insert your Ziggy Cup is to sit on the toilet, just because obviously you're on your period, and if anything falls out, in the toilet. First things first, you're going to want to add some lube to the rim just to make the insertion a bit easier for yourself. Then you're going to squeeze it together like this, and then what you do is you feed it into your poussoir. So what you're going to do is when you push it in, you're going to aim it towards your pubic bone, so kind of tilt it downwards and push down. You're going to keep pushing past your pubic bone, which is like, I'd say about like 3 inches into your body. Like you can feel your pubic bone quite easily, and you're going to keep pushing and go past there as far as you can. And then once you feel like it cannot move anymore, what you're going to do is you're going to reach your fingers inside and just flip the cup up behind your pubic bone. When I was talking about flipping the cup behind your pubic bone on my Womb Shed Week diaries, a lot of people were freaking out like, oh my god, how do I put anything behind my pubic bone? I have never done that before. Bitch, me neither. Except for a dick, a sex toy, that's it. But your pubic bone is actually not as far in as you think it would be. Like you can literally just like reach in and you can feel it. Say it's about like 3 inches to get behind the pubic bone. It's pretty close to the front. What you're going to do is after you flip it behind your pubic bone, I recommend, just to make sure, because listen bitch, I made the mistake so you don't have to. Stand up and you're going to open your legs and you're going to get on your tippy toes and you're going to reach up again and just give it another extra nudge just to make sure that it is in place. So the way that this slots in is your cervix is at the back of your vaginal wall. It's like this tiny little hole. It kind of looks like a butthole, but inside your vagina. What this does is, like, say this is your vaginal canal and then it's got the dip down there and here's your cervix. What it's going to do is, after you've pushed it in, it's just going to kind of open up like that and sit directly over your cervix like that. So it just basically just catches everything from there. I'll put a diagram on the screen for you guys so you can see how your vaginal canal and your cervix area looks. Another way of inserting it, if you find it difficult to do the push, is, once again, still lube it up, still do the squeeze together, but you can kind of like roll it. You're kind of like turning it and it'll kind of like slide its way in. So if you just like see how I'm doing here, you see how it's kind of feeding through? You can kind of use that method as well, and then once it's inside, push a bit further. But as I said, once you have lube on it, it's pretty easy. I did try to go in dry the first time. I was like, man, there's period blood there. It's going to be a slippery. It's going to be fine. But it was not. It just like stuck hanging halfway out of my fanny. I always recommend to use lube with any kind of menstrual cup. It just always makes the journey much smoother. And as I said, you can wear it for up to 8 hours. It will not fall out of you. You don't feel it. So if you've used the tampon before and you know what it kind of feels like once you kind of get the tampon in, it's giving very much tampon, I don't feel it energy. But it's better than a tampon because it doesn't cause all of that waste and, you know, clog up landfills and stuff like that. I will recommend that when you first start wearing your flat menstrual cups, that you either put a pad down in your underwear or like a panty liner or period pants, just something to catch any blood, just in case you haven't put it in correctly. Like, I didn't get it the first time and I'm like an expert of shoving things into myself. It's just like a little fail safe, just until you do learn to do it the proper way. To remove your discs, what you're going to do is you're going to reach up inside yourself and use a sort of come hither motion and sort of hook it underneath the rim of the cup and just pull it forward. And the difference between the flat menstrual cup and the standard one, if you've used one of these standard menstrual cups before, you will know that there is the sort of suction feeling that comes with it, and you have to sort of break the seal before you pull it out. Otherwise, you know, you could end up like sucking your cervix out of it, or if you have an IUD in, it could pull that out with it as well from the suction. Don't be alarmed, it's not scary like that. I'm making it sound worse than it is. It's pretty easy to remove. But with this, if you do like find it difficult to remove those kinds of menstrual cups, the flat ones, they don't have any suction. So literally, once you start pulling it out, it just comes out. There's no feeling of like your insides being drawn down. And if you've used one of those standard cups before, you know what I mean. So let's get into the hygiene of using your Ziggy cup. So when you first get the product, you must make sure that you wash it in warm soap and water. Try to use unperfumed soap, just to, you know, be nicer to your puswa. Then it is recommended that you boil it for 5 minutes to sterilize it. So you can literally just like put it in a pot and boil it, and once it's done, it's done, and you can put it into yourself. But if you guys would like a tip from the fancy house of Unfamous, look at this fancy gadget. It's not really a fancy gadget, it's a dummy sterilizer. A follower actually recommended this to me. I picked this up off of Amazon. And what you do is, after you've washed your cup, you pop it inside the sterilizer and you close it, and then you plug it in and you press this button and it will flash on and off, and you will see sort of like a blue UV light. That's what it uses to sterilize it. So the UV light will go and kill all the bacteria for like a minute, and then once it's done, you just open it, and it's less hassle than boiling water, and you know what I mean. So that is a fancy bitch tip from me to you. Okay, so I think those are all of the cold hard facts that you guys needed to know. Now let's get into my experience. If you guys haven't been here before, this is normally where I tell a slutty story. It's the fun bit. Now, first things first, and this is something that I didn't learn until later, but I'm going to share it with you guys because, as I said, I made the mistake, so you don't have to. As I've explained, the Ziggy cup comes in 2 sizes. Size A, 50 millilitres, and size B, 76 millilitres. Now, as I am new to menstrual cups, I wasn't sure which size to go for. And also, I also made the stupid mistake of using the tiny cup like on the first day of my period when it's the heaviest. Make it make sense. If you're like me and you have like a heavy period, use your head. I did not use my head. I was just like, come look at the tight vagina. And I was like, yeah, let me just put in the small one. Like, I'll be doing my Kegels, bitch. I don't need this big old one. Anyway, now size A is good to go with if you know you are new to this and you have a light to medium flow, and also if you have a low cervix. And size B captures everything from a light to a heavier flow. I think even if you are new to using the Ziggy Cup or just menstrual discs in general, like, this is still a good option to go for anyway. With Insertion, I didn't find either one harder than the other. Like, they were basically at the same amount of effort to put in. But this one is designed for a higher cervix. Through my trial and error, I discovered that I have a high cervix. Now, I know you're probably wondering, oh my god, Scotty, how do I know if I have a low or a high cervix? This is how. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to insert your index finger into your vagina. If you have a low cervix, you'll be able to reach it by the first knuckle. An average cervix can be touched by the time your finger gets up to the second knuckle. But if you can only reach it from the highest knuckle, or you can't reach it at all, then you have a high cervix. That is what I have. And now that I know this, it makes so much more sense as to why I fucked up so much on the first time. The day that my period started, Mr. was like, can I come over? And I said, you can come over. I got a menstrual cup. We can have sex. And there won't be no period blood. But I was excited. I was like, oh my god, we can have period sex. I need to put down a towel. I need to put down a towel. I need to use this. I need to towel. Fuck is a towel? I don't know who is she? I don't know her. I got a menstrual disc. The first time I put it in, like I said, I just tried to put it in dry because I thought that the period blood would just suffice for the insertion. It didn't. So then I put some lube on and then I got it in. And I mean, obviously this is my first time as well. So bitch, I was shoving. I was like, is it in? Is it inside? Is it inside? Inside? Is it inside my vagina? Sorry. But I didn't know about the tiptoe technique then either. I was just like on the toilet, just stuffing my fingers in my fanny. So I put it in and then I put a panty liner in my knickers just to kind of see like, okay, let's make sure that I don't fuck up my underwear. Here's where I got it wrong. Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is perfect. I did it the best. First go, first try. Expert slut. I know everything. Because there was no mess. I was like, oh, this is quite good. Then he got here and because it was already in, I didn't even have to, oh, let me excuse myself. Like, I was ready and raring to go. I was like, yes, let's go. Get in my guts. When he first entered my humble abode, your partner will be able to feel the cup. And this is not to say like it's a bad thing. It's just like, obviously, there's something in your fanny. Like, they're going to be aware of it. But once you start having sex, it does sort of change that. It doesn't become as noticeable. I just think for the first time, it's just like, okay, I'm aware that this is here. What is this foreign object? But after that, it's fine. Listen, I'm paranoid. And like I said, I don't like mess. So I put down a towel anyway. I made sure it's the same colour. It's like some dark pink one. So I was like, if there's any spillage, you can't see it. Put on like my mood lighting and shit, bitch. I was like, let me put on the red one. So if there is any blood that comes out, you cannot see nothing because it will just look wet. So he goes in and I'm like, can you feel it? Can you feel it? I'm always like this when I'm like testing stuff. I was like, how is it for you? Do you like it? I would recommend when your partner first does enter you to just go slowly, just so you can like maneuver it and figure out where things are. And then, you know, start having sex normally. I did a bit of reading beforehand and it was recommended that, you know, you do like missionary or doggy. I should have just stuck with that, bitch. Why did I get excited? Why did I get excited? This boy had me twist up like a fucking pretzel. My legs were like cross and then up in the air. Not like cross like the little cute cross like that. Like twist up cross and then like trapped under his arm and in the... We were doing too much. The sex was sexing and I was enjoying myself. Living my best life. I don't know what came over me. I was just like, harder! Shake my ovaries like some fucking maracas. I just wanted all the dick. Don't do that. You can have vigorous sex, but I think in my experience, and I think also like take into consideration your partner's member, their phallus. Like, take time. You don't know that I'm a kinky bitch and I'm just very masochistic. I want you to like bruise my insides. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. When I came to take the thing out, it was chop in the back. It was fucking going at me like hammer time, bitch. It was, yeah, don't do that. But you can have regular sex, but if you don't do the weird, wild BDSM weird sex that I was doing. After we finished having sex, I think it had been dislodged One, because as I said, I was on a very heavy flow and this was not the cup for that. Two, I hadn't realised about the whole cervix thing. I didn't know how to figure out. I just wanted to put this in because I was like, I'm petite and tiny. Oh, it's so tight. So this was not the correct size for me either. Then three, just the overly enthusiastic dicking down. I just did everything wrong. I mean, I will give it this. There was no mess on the bed. When I went to take it out, like, it was kind of, I mean, it wasn't like crazy covered in blood. You see when you use menstrual cups here, it really does be telling the truth about periods, because when you use like pads and tampons and stuff, and because they're absorbent and they swell and they like take on the liquid, it makes you think that there's like bare blood. When I started using menstrual cups, I clocked what I thought was true was false. Stupid. The amount of blood that actually comes out of you is not what it looks like in your, or like, you know, like when you wear a pad and then, I don't know, like your period was too heavy and it soaked through your knickers and they're like, shockwave, it's a blood bath. It's not even that bad. It's not even that bad. What I found with these, because they're like soft and stuff, it's like there'd be like blood in like the little dips and in the crevices and stuff, but like it wouldn't be like, oh, full overflowing cup. Pulled it out, shook it, gave it another wash. You should obviously like sanitize it as well between uses, but while you're using these during a cycle, you don't have to like do the whole boiling thing each time, because I mean, like some things that I use, one of them was the intimate accessory cleaner from Intimina. Just literally after you've washed it off with soap and water again, just let it dry, lube it up and go again. So the next day after that, I decided to try the 76ml cup. And then I was just like so fucking proud of myself by the end of that day on Room Shedwick Diaries. I was like, yeah guys, I've cracked the code. I'm actually like really enjoying using the menstrual cup now. Because this was the right fit for me, wasn't it? And it also held the right amount of fluid, didn't it? But yeah, I found for me, like, and my high cervix, the 76ml cup, like even when I sorted it into place, it just fit differently. Like I could feel it kind of not click, because you don't feel it click into place, but once it kind of like pops open a bit, kind of just felt it kind of settle into place correctly. I put on like period pants that day and just kind of went about my day, and there was no mess. When I removed it, even though most of the blood was inside of the cup, there was blood on the outside, and I was like, why did it correctly, why? But after doing some research, I found out that that is completely normal, which does make sense, because obviously there will be like small remnants of blood like around your vaginal walls from when it was coming out before. As long as the most of the blood, like the pooling liquid, is in here, you are fine. And even if there is blood on your vaginal walls, it won't leak into your underwear, like it won't ruin it at all. Like I said, I had the pads and the panty liners just to make sure that everything was tinging. When you wipe, or sometimes when you urinate, because you're pressing down on your pelvic floor muscles, there may be like a tiny little bit of blood, but it won't be anything dire. Now, obviously, because your hands have to go inside of yourself as opposed to using the like tabs on the cup, you will get blood on your fingers. And like the first day of using the second cup, I'd be like, what would this be like using it in public? But then I did more research and I learned about a technique called auto dumping, which just made the most sense in the world. And I do think that in some cases it is kind of better than using a normal menstrual cup, because what you can do with auto dumping is basically you would press down on your pelvic floor muscles and you reach up and you just kind of open the lip of the cup and you just allow the liquid to just flow out, so that way you don't have to actually take the entire thing out and then, you know, empty it and then clean it and then push it back in and all of that stuff. Like, it's just literally, you just reach up, runs out, push your fingers in, pop it back up, just wipe your fingers off on a tissue or something, you're good. But then also, as I said, like these have up to like 8 hours wear, so a lot of the times if you're already out anyway, you probably won't even need to remove it anyway. Some vulva owners can also just, from their auto dumping, their bodies will just naturally do it when they're pressing down anyway. But just in case you want to like do the manual way, yeah. And I thought that I was like really clever. It took me a while to get used to taking out menstrual cups and emptying it and doing the whole shebang and cleaning and putting it back inside of myself. So I've just found that the auto dumping method was a lot more convenient. I also found, in comparison to the original Ziggy Cup, that I did prefer the softer band on the Ziggy 2. I just think the softer one, for me personally, I just found that a bit more comfortable to wear once it like opened up and bloomed. In comparison to the Ziggy Cup, I feel like the Ziggy Cup 2, the ergonomic design of it is better for the way that it kind of blooms open more, because it's a bit more rounded, whereas this one, as much as it is round, it's like a bit sort of like, what's the shape? Is it oblong? Come on, primary school maths. Come on, key stage 2, oblong. So let's wrap this thing up and get on to my final thoughts. The perks of using menstrual cups is I like how much easier these are to insert than the standard round cups, because it's just literally like a squeeze and a slip and a pop in. Obviously, do make sure that you get your correct size. That will be a big factor in how well it works for you. I love the auto dumping feature. I just think that the less hassle that you have around periods, the better. I love the fact that it's reusable and you can use it for up to 2 years. It just cuts down the amount of money that you would have spent. So that's always great. It also has longer wear times than tampons and pads. Another thing that I just love about like just using menstrual cups in general is that, you know, when you use tampons or pads, like, and you, I don't know, you take a tampon out, or you like, you're changing your pad because it's like now at the end of its time, and there's like a scent. You don't get that with this, because there are no chemicals for your blood to drop into or sit in and, you know, fester and dry up and all that kind of stuff. Because it just catches it inside of you, it keeps the blood, I guess like fresh would be the best word to describe it. And yeah, literally when you dump it out, like it's not like there's no smell at all, but it just smells like blood. It's all eco-friendly, it's body safe, it's high quality. Like the way that they've done it. Do you know what it reminds me of? You know the LELO hex condoms, that sort of hexagon shape. Even though it's thin, it's still strong, like it's held together really well. And if you are like me and you are just weird about mess during period sex, like I said, I'm still new to this, but if you're weird about mess during period sex, this is great. I've even seen people say that they've like put their Ziggy cups in and that their partner has like gone down and performed oral on them, which I think is a win. Out of 5 for my 5-star review, what would I give this? I've said 50 times in this video, I'm very, very weird about mess. So I'll give it like 4 out of 5 stars, just because I think that it would be good if it had like a string or something attached to it that I could just pull it out with, rather than like sticking my fingers up there and grabbing it out. Even though, as I said, I've discovered auto dumping, so it's not as messy as I thought that it was going to be initially. But just, yeah, like just on the removal and stuff, if I could have something to like tug it out with, I would like that very much. But I will say the whole blood on the fingers aspects will not deter me from using this, because as I said, the auto dumping and the easier insertion and the ability to have sex with it in, so that I have to suck dick for a whole week, you know, this is very, very appealing to me. And I also like that it's easy to clean, like literally soap and water, pop in my sterilizer, or use the sanitizer thing between wears. I love that about it. So if you guys are on the lookout for a new period cup, give the Ziggy Cup 2 a go. So you can get your very own Ziggy Cup 2 from Intimina for £38.95. I will leave the links below. If I do find any other sellers to get them from, I'll also list them in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope it was very thorough, because I tried to cover everything, bitch. If you enjoyed this review and you would like to see more of moi, you can subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and make sure that you follow me on my socials, which is Scotty Unfamous on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to see what happens in the house of Unfamous on a day-to-day basis, or just bust joke with me, or, you know, even if you like want advice and stuff, like, yeah, IG is the place to be with me. I'm also on TikTok now. That's like fashion content though, so if you guys are interested in like the shit that I wear, TikTok. Until next time, my beautiful angels of sunshine and wonderment, take care.